welcome to the new Teacher Talk podcast.
We are helping you find your passion,
Learn your craft,
and share your successes.
Welcome, everybody.
How's it going, Pablo?
It's going great, Wes.
It's Friday.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it doesn't matter to our listeners. We're recording on a Friday.
It's a 3-day weekend, and
It
I
is.
didn't know that till today.
You're probably
I'm not
happy.
embarrassed. I'm super happy. It's like
a gift.
I was going to say it's like Christmas.
Yeah, but it's Veterans Day.
Morning. Yes.
So we do salute our veterans. So
We do.
that's a topical announcement we can make. But you're going to listen to this later. But anyways, we hope you observe Veterans Day. Without further ado, if you would do us the huge favor of visiting iTunes and writing a review and leaving us a 5-star rating, we would appreciate it more than you know. That would be super helpful. And we're ready to rock and roll on this topic.
Hey, buddy. I know that if you're listening
buddy.
to it on iTunes, you do not see us. But if you're on YouTube,
You can
this
see us.
might look a little different today because, one, I don't have a microphone in front of me.
Correct.
We're using our wireless mics. Hope it's sounding buttery to you.
That's
The
your mic right there on
other,
the table. You want to clip that on your lapel?
Yeah, we are using
You're gonna get louder.
This is
Pablo,
somewhat embarrassing.
you can't tell what's happening, but you probably can. Pablo dropped his lapel mic. There you go.
Go to YouTube. You can watch
Yeah.
it.
You can watch
Okay,
all
now
of this.
it must sound really buttery.
Yeah.
Got to watch my P's and Q's here. But what I was going to say is that we're in a new studio. We're actually in our studio at the district office.
True.
And it's kind of nice. We've never actually recorded the podcast here. So
Yeah. Yep.
we should probably get going now.
Let's start it off.
Thanks for hanging in there, everybody.
So I wanted to call this top 10 camera tips.
I denied that.
For the classroom. Pablo overrode that because he's the senior director.
No, I just thought that it would be more valuable than to give you 10. We're going to give you a lot more than that.
It's just
and
a
I
figure
think
of
we're
speech.
just I know it is.
Okay.
It works well in the marketing aspect of all of this, but we're here to let's just keep moving
And I
on.
just got to mention
Oh,
a couple of episodes ago, we got a review on iTunes, valuable feedback, and they were basically saying, "Hey, great energy, great charisma or chemistry, but please give us more concrete tips." And it's like you gave us appetizers and teasers. We want the full meal, and so this is a great one because these are like specific apps to use, specific activities to do using cameras and photography. So these are concrete and I think easy to do and executable by any living human being who is teaching.
Yeah, that's good.
Like I think the bar to entry, I think these are accessible activities. I don't know what I was saying.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
With the bar to entry. Okay.
And so one of the reasons we're actually talking about photography as a theme
Are
today.
you going to talk about what happened today?
Yeah, today was really cool. So Wes and I went out to one of our local schools here, close to the district, and we were able to sit in with an after-school photography club.
Yep.
It was their first meeting. It was like 5th and 6th graders.
6th grade.
So about 5 or 6 showed up to the initial meeting, but I think a few more are interested, and she might open it up to 4th graders. But it's just their first time. All of the students have iPads to start with, and she's also ordered some other gear and some hardware, some other cameras, some more professional cameras as well. So they'll be able to kind of lean into their photography learning as they go throughout the year.
Yeah.
So, we were just there kind of as flies on the wall, but we were able to talk about our passion of
photography,
doing some photography and making pictures.
Yeah.
So
you know what?
go
We're
ahead.
both into it. So I just thought, why not give a plug for your photography? Where can they see your photography, Pablo?
Well, they can go to my Instagram at Buenos Diaz, D-I-A-Z vlog. So that's all one word, and you can see it in the show notes.
And the other thing is that tag, Buenos Dias vlog, comes from your vlog. I don't know if we've ever really told people, but you have a healthy, a robust YouTube channel with like over 800 vlogs. Like there was a point where you're doing daily
I was doing daily vlogs. I started in 2015,
it's amazing.
August of 2015, and then that December I decided, let me try a year of this. And I did. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was having fun, and I continue. But I do like the whole process and the art of creating video and films and movies for memories and just to help me support my creative kind of juices, I guess. And then photography. So the channel kind of has a lot of different things, but it definitely focuses more on tech, photography, videography, and just telling stories. So
Yeah.
visit
Yeah.
it if you can, and yourself. You're
So
also
so probably more recently you've done more photography like
absolutely.
tutorials, or we've done some challenges, or
We have?
at least one challenge.
We've done 2.
Yeah. So
We did one in
with
San Diego as well.
Oh, that's right. So photography challenges. So check that out on Pablo's channel, because that gives you more context for what we're talking about in the classroom today. Yes, I have an Instagram handle of Wes Creasel Photo. So that's where I do my landscape and portrait photography. I share that, and a YouTube channel, Wes Creasel Photo too, which is a little bit of travel vlogs and
That's
like
good
some
stuff.
tutorials. Yeah. So
It's good stuff, but you can
All right.
tell it's definitely a passion of ours, and
Yeah.
that's what you should do if you're an artist of any kind. Bring that into your classroom. It really helps kind of,
Yeah.
the kids will know. The kids will
they
see
will,
that
absolutely.
you enjoy what you're doing even more so.
Yep.
So
Cool.
let's get going.
Let's get going.
So the thing is today, again, we're going to probably talk to you about more than just 10 things that you can do in photography. But photography itself allows you to bring in emotion. When you take a picture, you see a picture in your Instagram feed, or you pull one out from yesteryear from the printed photographs that you might have printed, they evoke some type of emotion, whether it's happy, it might be sad, maybe it's somebody who may have passed
Yeah.
and that you were close to. And so there's a lot of emotion that goes into photography, and we talked to the kids about that a little bit today as well.
Yeah. Actually, you just reminded me of something I did back in my 9th grade writing class, English class. Is I got these black and white photos, kind of like they came from a calendar, but I can tell from the type of photos they weren't from a calendar, but they were kind of like odd situations, like a man and a woman by a broken down car on the side of the highway, black and white, like a field with a fence running through it and a horse jumping over the fence. And so I gave the students like these black and white photos, put them on their desk, and I just said, just write a story about what's happening in the photo. There's no right, there's no wrong. And it was just using photography as a jumping off point for writing. And so you just reminded me of that. And part of what we wanted to do, we were kind of brainstorming after visiting the photography club with those students today. We're brainstorming. There's so many ways to tie it to what you're quote unquote supposed to teach already. And I could tell the kids they came on their own after school to spend time. They were attentive. They were like, yes, please teach me about photography. But you could use that kind of attention in the regular school day.
They were even there, and they were selling ice cream outside on a Friday.
Yeah.
They weren't out eating ice cream. They were with us. So that was really cool.
Very cool.
I was impressed.
I was impressed too.
But that's a good one. Let's just start out with that one of the things that I did in my 6th grade classroom, but this can work in any classroom, in practicing telling stories, but we did it with photographs, and we called it Photo 5. And those 5 pictures, it was a simple objective, is to take 5 pictures, go out into the quad or in the classroom or wherever you wanted to go, take the next 10 to 15 minutes and try to build a story through 5 images.
Really?
And then we'd come back, we'd put them either into some type of slideshow, or they could just write off their camera roll if it was the iPad. They could show us their 5 images, but I preferred to put it more into a collage. And so you could see all 5 at the same time. And we'd kind of have a discussion with that student, and we'd all view each other's. We didn't have to edit them or anything. It was just very low level, but it was more to have those connections on what the student felt their story was versus what students kind of were picking at and things of that nature. And it was really cool. It was a really cool way to get a story started.
So you just gave me an idea about how to use photography. So our students have one-to-one iPads, but let's say you have any type of device they can take it. Let's say it's science. Let's say you're doing an experiment. Let's say they're probably following a written process. Let's say you say, take a photo of every step in this process, upload it to your Google Drive or what have you. But then you can use for an assessment, put those photos in a different order and say, now reorder the photos to show the correct process, and then maybe label them. And so you're using photos and photography as the students engage in something that's, the story remind me of the word sequence. A lot of times we learn processes in science that have a sequence. And so have them generate the photos and then reorder them and then mix them and see if they can reorder them to the correct order and explain why it's the correct order and explain some other commentary that's like a higher or lower, a better depth of thinking.
Depth of field.
Bigger depth of field. That's a nice one. So using photography for like teaching science processes.
Here's another one. If you want to do some defend your answer or argumentation type of stuff where you kind of split the classroom, the yes or no side or whatever, it could be this or that. And you could tell a story. You could show an image, either something from the internet or something that you took personally. And you could tell a story, two different stories. One could, almost like that thing, two truths and a lie.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a truth and a lie or whatever. It doesn't even have to, they don't have to be lies, but what do students kind of gravitate towards? And it could be something about towards getting into argumentative writing or even, my thoughts are leaving me there. But the idea is there so you can start having these discussions around an image.
So let me throw this up there and see if that's what you're talking about. So you put a photo of a can of Coke, photo of a can of Pepsi.
Here.
Say choose a side.
So can I just here we go. We have an iconic picture of Navy personnel man, very famous picture, kissing a woman black and white in Times Square, I believe, in New York City. Just got back from the war.
World War II, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And in fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, the story behind this is these two people do not even know each other. It's not like this was his, girlfriend from many years.
Yeah.
He was
I'm so happy to be home.
Yeah, that's what happened, and somebody caught the picture.
Wow.
But anyways, go ahead. You were trying to kind
I
of
was
work
just
it out.
saying
So
about two photos of like Coke, Pepsi, and they choose a side.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
they just go to the left or the right to
idea.
use the pictures. But how would you do?
So my idea was
with
just to
this?
tell two different stories and see how people gravitate towards those stories and why, and just explain why they would gravitate. So they could be fictitious, or one could be real, as the one I just explained, and the other one is, and or maybe what's real and what's not real.
Yeah. So you put up this photo and you say, story A, they know each other. Story B, they don't know each other. Choose a side.
And then defend
why.
Yeah.
So they're developing skills of argumentation based on interpreting a photo.
Public speaking.
That's cool.
There's lots of things that you can think of, and things we're probably not thinking of right now, but you can see the juices are flowing. You can get going with this, and it's different.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because in this photo, they don't know each other according to what you told me. And so then you have that element of surprise or wow, or sometimes we call it magic, where the students fought hard to defend this. Yeah. And then they're like, what? No, that's not the real story. I was tricked. They remember those things. Yeah.
Here I'm looking at
Tiananmen
an image
Square,
of Tiananmen Square and the college student that stood in front of the tanks. Very iconic picture.
Yeah.
So it evokes emotion, and these are the types of things that you can do as well. It doesn't all have to be or emote that type of emotion, but images are very powerful.
Yeah,
it depends on how you utilize them.
Yeah, so you have this picture of the, I think he was a student, but I don't remember. Student in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square, and you can say, would you do this? Yes or no, left or right? And then all of a sudden they're supporting their opinion, but you're using history and you're using photography to draw them into those skills of writing and argumentation.
Right,
That's cool.
and if you're in a younger class, such as kindergarten or first grade, maybe you don't use photography or photos, you use more artistic type of turtle or illustrations and things of that nature. So there's obviously variations based on on what we're talking about here.
Put a picture of a tortoise and a hare, and then you say, which side are you? Do you like the tortoise or the hare? And then you could read the story of the tortoise and the hare. Or is it a fable? I think it's a fable. You know the story where didn't the tortoise win, but he was slower, right?
Yeah, there's a moral to that story, right?
I got to go back and read that.
Go fast to go slow, or go slow to go fast?
Deeper subtext that I missed the first time around. Yeah, so tons of ideas of how to use photography and illustration.
Yeah, let's keep going. There's we just had, and I think it's very relevant, October 31st through like November 1st or 2nd is Dia de los Muertos, and it celebrates all who have passed, and lots of imagery there, not only of artifacts that people bring in, but also the image of a deceased family member, and you're celebrating their life, and it's that's super powerful, especially in North Orange County where we live, where we have a dense population of Latino and Hispanic students and families. That really was a relevant piece to our schools and the students. And actually, can you talk a little bit about your visit to one of our schools?
Maple Elementary. I was asked to be a judge for the Classroom Ofrenda competition. So each class built an ofrenda, or was that kind of an altar or a space for these offerings or tributes. And so as you walk through there, you have students have collaborated with their parents. They've gotten family photos of loved ones who have passed. And then they've actually the principal did a short tutorial for a board member, myself, and the assistant soup of HR, and said these are the traditional elements that are involved. These are things you should look for, as well as elements like creativity. So when you walk through these spaces and you see the lovingly placed photos, and some were like 100 years old, like in a frame, and you're like, I used to do this. We do like kind of like all about me posters or autobiographical writing, and I would ask them to bring in photos. But I always felt super sort of conscientious that they would take very care not to lose the photo. It's not back in those days when I started teaching. It was probably the only photo. It wasn't like off of somebody's phone and there was many digital copies. So I was always conscientious that we would take good care of these family photos. But it was beautiful in that setting to see these photos of the loved ones, and it just told a deeper, richer story about these students and who they were. And you see photos of pets who have passed, and so you think, oh, how sad that is. Like here's a kid who's so young, and then they've lost a pet, and they think about that, and it just awakens you further to their humanity and the pain and the suffering and the compassion, things that you can absolutely tap into and be aware of and be a better teacher because you have asked them to bring photos, right? Yeah. Photography. No, it's amazing. I'm inspired.
Super powerful. Here's another one for the younger students. You could take a picture. They could take the picture, but you could probably take the picture, print it, and basically a 4x6 picture, and then go ahead and have glue on the bottom of the picture, the base of the picture, maybe a 1 or 2 inch strip across the bottom. So yes, it does cover part of the picture. Yeah. And then use that as a nameplate. Okay. Yeah. And then either you can type or you can write their names, right? And then and this is especially when they don't know how to spell their names. And what you do is you actually cut the image maybe in, I guess the number, so if my name is Alice, I'm going to cut it in 5 or 6, 5 strips vertically. And then you kind of give it to them, and then they're going to be supported by being able to put their picture together. But yet now they see how their name goes in order. So that's a pretty cool idea.
So here's, I love
hopefully
that.
I explained that.
And we're going to put a link to this. I can see the picture, and I got it. But I was looking at the picture. So. But this brings me back to a discussion I had with our librarians. And when the younger students come in, they have to, pick out books and they have to check them out. So one of the librarians was sharing, they have ID cards or bookmarks with the student's picture on it and their barcode. And when a class comes in, they just take them out of the little class Tupperware container, spread them out on the library desk. And so the kids who are too young to spell their name just look for their library card based on their picture. They see themselves, and then they scan the book, and they scan their library card, and it's checked out to them, and then they leave it there in the library. So these class sets so it's kind of like that, learning to spell your name because your photo is there, and it's sliced into the number of strips, vertical strips with the letters. Here, the kids are learning how to check out a book from the library before they can even spell their own name, so it makes me think, what books are they getting? Probably picture books. But it's so great. And that's photography, the power of identifying something by your own image.
Got another one. So when you're reading also to, I think we were talking about to a principal today about having either teachers or adults, just more people reading to the children at that school or in any school really, but when you do start to read to them, a lot of times you hold the book and you talk about inferences. So here's the picture.
What do you think is happening?
What is it that you see in the illustration or what have you? You could do that with an image. Here I have on my computer an image of a young girl. It's a close-up picture, and she's in blue water, right? She's got goggles on. So what is the inference there? You could ask students, and it depends on their
background,
their schema.
Yeah.
What have they experienced in life? So if they've been to Hawaii, they might say, "Oh, they're at the beach."
Right.
But some might say, "No, they're in a pool."
Right.
Or they're if they go to the river every other weekend or whatever during the summer. That those are good ways to have conversations for students, and they can all be wrong or right at the same time. And so, but it's the conversations, it's the rich conversations you can have. Again, from an image,
from a photo. Yeah, I love that.
Inferences.
So here's a concrete tip. Teachers are often evaluated. Usually it's on some sort of schedule, like maybe after you get tenure, you have every other year or something like that. But just curating photos for your evaluation process. So being aware that throughout the year, your administrator is not going to be there every day, every week, every month, but taking photos of things like, here's a display we did about this book we read, or here's our word wall, and putting those photos, so curating photos for your own evaluation to show your growth, to help explain and share your thinking as a professional to other people. And another easy one is first couple of weeks of school, just take photos left and right for the back to school night slideshow. Parents walk in.
That's nice.
If you have a projector or an Apple TV, something like that in your classroom, you just have it on loop. Parents are looking at their kids learning. And there are there's a craft of photography, and so I have certain pet peeves or ideas I think what makes a better photo, but just do it and get better as you go. Ask other people, read up on it. But generally, to me, a good photo of one student close up or two, much more powerful than every photo's of all 30 kids holding a ribbon or something where the story is they did an event, everyone did it. It's a group shot versus a close-up shows that emotion that you were talking about, that where you see a student engaged in learning. That's powerful for parents.
Right. Upper elementary, maybe this one is up for upper elementary, middle school, and even high school. How about taking a picture and then asking students either individually and for different pictures or one picture, create a meme? Right, you need to have probably some guidelines, and memes can be mean in certain cases. So try to make them maybe more humorous and funny. But those are the types of things that get students' creative juices flowing as well.
Yeah, and that resonates.
And they can work in groups. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. That resonates with literature. You can take a book like All Quiet on the Western Front and say create a meme for chapters 1 through 5. And then it's actually one of the standards is a theme in a different genre or a different form of writing and how they express that. And memes also have they use humor. That's kind of the base of a meme is it has some sort of kick or punch or sarcasm or irony. So then they're not only translating the ideas or themes into a different genre, but they're engaged in critical thinking yeah, but how do you make that funny? And then that's a whole other level. And I guarantee you that's memorable learning that they're engaged in using, photos they find on the internet for the meme.
Yeah, it's perfect. With the holidays coming up, both Thanksgiving and the Christmas holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of it, providing images for family members, they love it, especially the little guys. You may have to take it for them, and that happens a lot. I know that my wife, who is a kindergarten teacher, does that for her students and sends things home that way, whether it be some type of holiday card or what have you. But just creating, maybe it's Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, imagery and photos and pictures can be a huge deal there too. Nothing new, but just something kind of on the top of mind.
Yeah. Well said, well said. I think we're saving for the end. We have a list of apps that we kind of went through our phones and we made a list of apps. So I think we're going to kind of close the show with like here's like our kind of go-to apps for photography. But I have another couple of ideas about and a social media shout out for curating photos for your Instagram for your classroom. So one is to have a classroom Instagram, and the social media shout out is for a teacher I used to work with in a previous district. So it's Morris_science, and about 3/4 of the photos are pictures of his whiteboard with the homework. And his kids can follow that on Instagram, and
It's simple.
It's only for his classroom, and it's just like, here's a picture of what you were supposed to write in your binder that you probably didn't, or you left your binder on the soccer field. But you can just look at Instagram, and there's your homework. So
I don't follow you, Mr. Morris. Is it Morris?
Yeah, it's Morris_science. He has 282 followers. And then that's another professional connection. You know, teachers might want to see what other people are giving for homework, or he can use hashtags that are related to the type. Like he has some design thinking and prototyping a laser alarm system. I'm looking for from a post from about a week ago. And so other teachers can look and get ideas if they follow Morris_science. So he's one I follow, and I used to work in the district with him, so it's always kind of fun to see what teachers are up to. Here's another one. Warm up the mechanical versus electromagnetic waves double bubble. So and then there's waves, Cornell notes, and so.
And they're using he's using some thinking maps there.
Yeah. And he's a middle school science teacher. So shout out to Tom Morris.
Hey, another thing, I know we're moving on to apps, but
I was trying to drop that hint.
I know, I got it. I got your hint. Just one last thing is, I've been on a lot of field trips with students, and I think this is what we forget. I know we want to enjoy the moment, but to continue the moment, I think, and bring it back to the classroom, that's to take pictures of the things that are going on. If you're going on a DC trip, for example, and be able to almost create a timeline with your images, especially in the world now that we are, which is very digital. We don't have to print these out. We can put them in some type of whether it's some type of presentation or what have you, or just on a single document, and minimize the images and just be able to tell a story that way. So I think that has a lot of possibilities that I don't think we think about after the field trip is done.
Yeah. So here's, and so relating to a lot of times in the classroom or at a school, we'll do the same kinds of things, like the photography club that we visited today. Well, we were there last year when she launched that, and we judged their end of year competition. But you can actually use photos from their end of year competition to get people excited about. You can send a link to all the teachers, say, hey, here were the winning submissions last year. Hey, come see the photography school. So taking pictures from last year, like the DC trip, that could be used to advertise and get people excited and pumped up about going, on the trip this year. So even photos, like sometimes we have projects or we have student work that we'd love to save, but we just don't have the space. But you can take a photo of it, store it digitally, and then show those as exemplars and models, if you're into that kind of thing, for students to shoot for.
Okay, heading right into the first song, I'm just going to lean into your
Go for it.
advice and get right to the apps. I think one of the apps that we can use to save, because you talked about saving or sending images to the cloud, and that would just be use Google Photos. Google Photos, I back everything up with Google Photos, then I delete everything off my phone.
Me too.
I put some of it on a hard drive, but there it is in another place in the cloud. And what's really cool about Google Photos is it can create memories for you, and it takes some of the images and see what's in store. You can go there and actually have it actually creates a memory or like a photo slideshow for you. And it's kind of nice to look back on that every now and then, and it does it for you.
If you haven't checked out Google Photos, it's a lot better, and it has these kind of artificial intelligence features where it'll prompt you with here's a memory from 4 years ago, or it'll make a like animation or a movie or a collage. That's a great tip. Here's just another tip is I don't use my work email, my Google, as my Google Photo backup, because my phone, I take all sorts of pictures, work and personal. I use my personal email to back everything up. So that's just me. I don't want on our our Google for EDU servers all my personal photos. I think that's not appropriate. That's just my little soapbox.
But you could choose to obviously take your classroom photos, your field trip photos, and put them onto your school.
Yeah. The great thing about Google for EDU or Google, what do they call it now? Google Suites, G Suite.
Yeah, G Suite. It's the latest.
It's unlimited storage.
Yeah.
So that's the benefit. But even though it's unlimited, I use my personal to back it up. But here's a great hack. If you do have a classroom Instagram or any type of Instagram you use for learning or your classroom, you can use a program called IFTTT. So it's IFTTT. It stands for If This Then That. I think it's IFTTT.com. And I just use what they call a recipe. And I have every photo I post to my Instagram is automatically downloaded and uploaded to a folder in my Google Drive. So Instagram is great, and it creates a record, easy to scan through. But sometimes I want all those photos, and I can drop them into slideshows from my Google Drive. So I open Google Slides, and I say Insert from Google, and I pick my Instagram backup folder. Super easy. Downloading photos from your Instagram it's not the easiest. So that's one thing I use to it's a productivity tip, I guess, related to photography.
Very good. I know that we have this one on our list together, and what I like about it is you have an Android phone, I have an iPhone, and the Prisma app, if you're not utilizing it, it's been out for a while, but it is on both iOS and Android. And what's nice about it is, especially if you're taking pictures of your students and you are not sure if they have media release forms and they can be, their pictures can be provided or pushed out onto the internet, that you can cartoonize them or distort them in an abstract way that Prisma does a really nice job and has a lot of different themes. Obviously, you can put, I'm not the biggest fan of this and putting a big emoji or a sticker, but I get it, though. I get it.
Spell out what you're saying. Like some people say, instead of showing the kid's face, I'm going to put a yellow happy face over their face to protect their identity.
Yeah. Which is reasonable. Which is reasonable. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I just prefer to obscure their face that, with maybe a really cartoonized. I make up words on this podcast every week, so stay tuned for the next one. But that being said, but it really does a really nice job. Prisma does a nice job of theming your images in a variety of different ways.
And if you haven't checked it out, I think this is where it came from, but it's kind of like you pick a filter that's a style of a known artist. That's not all of them, but you can have like a Mondrian filter or like a Van Gogh type filter or things like that. But it also will accentuate certain colors. And so like you might have taken a photo that's, it was taken in the staff lounge and it's okay, it's a little blurry, there's not good lighting. You can make that photo pop off the smartphone with Prisma. Just a click of a button, you can adjust the filters. Super easy to use.
Love it. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So another one of my favorites is Snapseed, which used to be its own app, then was purchased by Google.
Very powerful.
I use it a lot now to add text, and they have probably a dozen different kind of text setups where they're kind of artistically layered or circular text. Super easy to add like a caption or a thought to a photo when I'm posting on social media. And it's a way to, like, sometimes you can't tell exactly what's happening at a photo, like, oh, they're working at something at their desk, oh, it's a book they're reading, but you can say, pursuing theme through blah, 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 and then you're like, oh, that photo is amazing because they're pursuing theme. So, I use Snapseed for adding text.
And Snapseed does so much more, too.
No, but it's crazy complex.
I love that you use, and so that makes me think of two apps that I use. I'm a creature of habit. Like, I probably could be using that or a variety of other different apps. But, you just get settled into certain apps. And I used SplitPic a lot.
Yes, you did. Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. And I continue to. And so what SplitPic does, it gives you different frames, like to cut things into thirds. And it could be 3 different boxes or vertical or horizontal lines.
It's kind of like a collage tool.
It's a collage tool. And you can leave things very, hard linear
Yeah, you can blur the edges and soften
The
them.
edges, that's what I'm trying to get to. Or
have
you
them
can
like
soften them
hard
all
cut.
the way.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I like it. I like those.
Yes, you
images
do.
soft. Yeah. He's just like, I don't think he's a fan completely of it, but
I've
yes,
tried-
you do. That's too much, Pablo. It doesn't matter. Those are mine. And so then I throw it into Over. I send the photo to my camera roll and then put Over just does that, puts text. That's its main feature, and it has a variety of different.
I gotta check that out.
Different text. That's what it does really well, and just has a variety of different
Over
fonts.
does it.
Get
it? Over does it.
There. What else you got?
Let's see. So I think those. I mean, there's other things like Lightroom. I think that's on your list.
It's on my list. I mean, I just want to talk about it a little bit. I love that I use Adobe Lightroom, obviously on my computer, but when I take an image, so usually you want a DNG.
DNG is a raw,
DNG, excuse
raw
me.
file.
Yeah, DNG, the raw file, not a J.
You're talking about an iPhone.
Wiki DJ. Oh no. So a DNG file. No. But so I use Manual, an app called Manual that actually takes images from my iPhone in a DNG
In raw format.
Then I throw it into Lightroom, which is money.
Now we're getting super deep for
Yeah,
the
so
average
sorry.
classroom teacher, but a raw file, if you're curious, is a
too,
photo
man.
that has more detail and more data, and you can.
The only reason he's making that voice is we kind of poke fun every now and then at all the YouTube videos that we watch kind of concurrently. We
yes.
watch the same ones and they're all photo based. All right, we'll just move on from that. Yes, we love editing photos and you can spend a lot of time doing it, but it's super fun.
But I encourage you have amazing power in your smartphone.
Absolutely.
And you can take images in RAW, and then you have more flexibility from that data to change the appearance and improve them.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that. Yep. Okay, so I think Twitter for me is a great combo to share photos of things, either to validate what people are doing, like tagging them in the photo, but also to share things using hashtags, like you take a picture of robotics, hashtag robotics. Anyone can find that.
Yes.
But I had some visitors from Japan. They're visiting our district from Epson, I think, and they're doing some research about projectors, and so we were talking about flexible furniture.
Okay.
And it came up, and I just said, "Well, let me show you some." And I just went to my Twitter feed, and I clicked the media button. And so what the media button does is it removes all text from the tweets and just shows you a grid of your photos. And so for me, it was like a chronological walk back in very quick, just by flipping, scrolling through. I could go back to the first day of school when we visited the first week of school. We went to all 20 sites, and I was able to show within seconds, like, here's flexible furniture at this site, here's flexible furniture at this site, here's flexible furniture. So within like less than 30 seconds, I could get to 10 or 20 photos that were on this topic, because it was a point in time in the year when we had seen a lot of that. And the Twitter media tab. So there's also things on there, because I use Twitter for everything. I don't have like a separate professional Twitter and personal Twitter. There's other things mixed in there, but I have a personal Instagram, and generally the Twitter for me is more professional. So it was pretty easy. So it was almost like a curated tour of my year in the district.
That's nice. I love the tweets.
Yep. Yeah. You good?
I think we're good. And, I just want to apologize for the rough start to this. We hadn't used this microphone.
Fine.
No, I just want to apologize. And so I hope all of you out there, especially if you're a new teacher or a veteran teacher, you got at least one or two tips that you can utilize photos, you can use cameras in the classroom in different ways. And please let us know, again, out on our social media,
please
Pablo and Wes.
Yeah.
Let us know how you're using cameras and or photos in your classroom. We'd really love to know.
We would. Absolutely. Thanks, Pablo. This was good. I love this topic. I say we do a part 2.
I think this is our longest one. It's because we're very passionate about education and also photography.
It wasn't our longest one. Ironically, our longest one was time management.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
There he goes again. All right, everybody.
All right.
See you later.
Peace.
Connect with us on social media at Pablo and Wes.
on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and all the podcast places on the web like.
iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Overcast.
And remember to get your free special gift at
PabloandWest.com/gift. Yay!